A snake may shed its skin, but it's still a snake. And when the grass is cut, its slither is exposed. To those who moved against you in silence, to those who wore fake smiles while planting traps, the time is near. They played a game they thought they'd win, but they weren't playing with you. They were playing against something far greater, and now the bill has come due. They underestimated what can't be bought, faked, or broken: the mark of the chosen. Before we go any further, make sure to like this video and subscribe, not just for yourself, but to help this message reach every chosen one still walking through the fire. When you engage, you help signal to YouTube that this message matters. And trust me, someone out there needs to hear this today. Now let's talk about you, the chosen. You weren't picked at random. There's something different about you, something sharp, something that refuses to be silenced even after being pushed down 1,000 times. You were built for moments like this. Your power doesn't just irritate the ones who tried to dim your light, it haunts them. Every time you rise, you remind them of what they couldn't destroy. See, the truth about being chosen is that it's not always loud. It's not always celebrated. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes you walk into rooms where your energy speaks before you do, and it makes people uncomfortable. That discomfort turns to envy. That envy turns into quiet attacks, fake alliances, and behind-the-back whispers. But energy never lies. They thought they were fighting you, but what they didn't realize is you were protected by something they can't touch. They weren't just fighting your words, they were fighting your presence, your purpose, your calling, and now the shift has come. This is that moment when masks fall and eyes open, their schemes falling apart, their confidence cracking. The same hands they used to push you down are the ones they'll need to pick themselves up, in full view of the crowd. There's a kind of embarrassment that doesn't stay behind closed doors. The kind where silence hits louder than screams, where those who tried to humiliate you in private will now face their downfall in public. No edits, no filters, no hiding. They dug a grave, not knowing they were building a stage for their own exposure. And you, chosen one, you're not just a survivor. You're the storm they didn't see coming. You didn't just walk through fire. You learned how to control it. The reason they fought you so hard wasn't because you were weak. It's because your presence disrupted everything fake around them. You made them nervous. You made them look in the mirror, and the mirror didn't lie. So don't you dare dim your light to make anyone comfortable. The celebration that's coming isn't small. It's loud. It's wild. It's overdue. And the beauty of it? The very ones who tried to silence you will have front row seats. Not because you invited them, but because life made sure they couldn't look away. So keep rising, keep shining. And remember this, when the curtain falls, the truth takes center stage, and not everyone's built to face that spotlight. So if your spirit is already stirring, that's not a coincidence. That's alignment. That's the quiet voice saying, this is for you. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you've ever felt targeted just for being different, just for being chosen. Your enemies didn't understand the weight you carry, but soon they'll witness the rise they tried to stop. Stay with me, because what's coming next breaks it all down. And if you really are one of the chosen, you won't be able to look away. Let's get into it, and don't blink. Number 1, when the hammer drops, it doesn't knock, it shatters. They danced while building your grave. Now they'll choke on the dust. There's a certain type of arrogance that only the truly wicked wear like a crown. The ones who smirked while you cried. The ones who whispered lies in rooms you weren't even allowed into. They thought they won. They thought your silence meant surrender. But here's what they didn't understand. Silence isn't weakness. It's the calm before the collapse. And when you're chosen, silence is sacred. It's not retreat. It's the system getting into position. They weren't just picking a fight with you. They were tampering with timing, universal timing, the kind that doesn't miss. The kind that waits, tracks, and strikes, not when you want it, but when it hurts them most. While they partied on your name and laughed at your struggle, something bigger than both of you was taking notes, quietly, patiently, and now it's their turn. You see, the real punishment isn't loud. It doesn't need fireworks. It's cold, public, surgical. The type of fall that doesn't let them get back up. When that hammer drops, it doesn't knock to warn them, it shatters. Reputations, alliances, their fake confidence, all gone, all seen, all undeniable. That's the power of being chosen. To be chosen is to carry a light so strong it exposes every fake soul around you. Your presence alone triggered their insecurity. Your silence made them paranoid. Your growth, even when buried in pain, made them rage. Why? Because they couldn't stop it, no matter how they tried. And it drove them mad. And yet you, the chosen one, have doubted yourself? You? The very reason their masks started slipping in the first place? You've questioned your light because their shadows made too much noise? Don't do that. Don't play small just because your presence shakes what's built on lies. They didn't hate you because you were wrong. They hated you because you were real. You need to understand this. They were never fighting you. They were fighting the system that selected you, that protected you. They weren't challenging your mouth. They were challenging your mission. They were messing with the alignment of something far greater than their games and gossip. That's why every trap they set turned into a grave they now lie in, publicly. There's a cost to touching what's chosen, and it's never cheap. They thought they were getting away with it, that you'd stay silent forever, that your tears wouldn't turn into fire. But time has a way of gathering receipts, and now the stage is set. The ones who mocked you in whispers will be silenced in screams. Their collapse won't be a rumor, it'll be a lesson. And to you, the chosen one, this is your reminder. Stop waiting for permission to stand tall. Stop trying to explain yourself to people who were never meant to understand your light. Some people hate the sun simply because it rises without asking. You are not fragile. You are fire wrapped in flesh, and the universe knows. So let them stare, let them whisper, let them brace themselves. Because the same silence they once mistook for defeat will be the sound that follows them as their walls crash down, one lie at a time. The hammer doesn't knock, it shatters. And when it hits, it won't hit your name, it'll hit theirs. This is the moment, the exposure, the humiliation, the fall. And for you, it's celebration season. Front row, no filter, all truth. Number 2, they dug their own graves with velvet gloves. Now the dirt's on their hands. You can dress poison in perfume, but it still kills slow. And they've been sipping their own since the day they came for you. Let's make something clear. The darkness inside your enemies isn't just a flaw. It's their destruction waiting to happen. And the most brutal part? It was always theirs. No one had to curse them. No one had to expose them. No one had to raise a hand. Because the very things they thought made them clever, the manipulation, the gossip, the two-faced charm, are the same tools tying the rope around their own reputation. That's how real justice works. Not loud, not forced, just inevitable. They fed on lies like it was breakfast. They built whole versions of reality where they were the victim, where you were the villain, where truth didn't matter as long as they looked clean. And for a while, they fooled people. They wore masks made of compliments. They cloaked their cruelty in humor, in charm, in concern. But you saw through it, didn't you? Even when you stayed silent, even when you took the high road, you knew what they were doing. But here's the twist they never saw coming. That darkness they buried deep, that double life they lived so well, it never left them. It stayed, it grew, it rotted their core, and now it's oozing out in places they can't control. In relationships falling apart, in allies turning cold, in doors slamming shut that once opened wide. You don't have to fight people who are fighting themselves. You don't have to chase revenge on someone already devoured by their own deception. Because when you're chosen, your enemies self-destruct. All you have to do is stay standing. They thought secrets were power, that silence was permission, that smiles could cover betrayal. But what they forgot, or maybe never knew, is that energy always tells the truth. No matter how many masks they wore, their frequency was off. The room knew it before their words finished. The same people they fooled are now squinting, realizing something doesn't feel right. That's not intuition. That's the darkness leaking through. Let me put it plainly. Their own darkness is turning on them. And not behind closed doors, not in some private moment where they can spin the narrative publicly, on platforms they used to shine on, in rooms where they once felt untouchable, with people who once clapped for them now stepping back in silence. Because no one wants to get dirty when the mask finally melts. And don't think for 1 second that this is just karma. No, this is design. When someone comes after the chosen, they don't just make an enemy, they challenge a system that's rigged for truth to rise. Every betrayal they launched was a shovel. Every lie, another inch down. They didn't just fall into darkness, they built it. With pride, with ego, with a smirk. Now they're choking on their own smoke. You, chosen one, need to understand this. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. You weren't retreating, you were rising behind the scenes. And now, while they unravel, your peace will be the loudest sound in the room. But let's be real for a moment. Some of you have been too humble, too quiet, too quick to question your own power. And for what? Because they gaslit you into thinking you were the problem? Because their darkness was loud and your light was soft? Let me tell you something hard and honest. Stop doubting what they feared. Stop dimming what exposed their shadows. You are not the villain in their story. You are the light that burned their script. This is not your breakdown, it's your breakthrough. Their collapse, it's not your concern, it's your confirmation. Every time they plotted behind your back, the system was already flipping the script. Every betrayal was recorded. Every lie they told was just another brick in their own downfall. And the beauty of it all? You didn't have to lift a finger, because when you're truly chosen, truth is your weapon, and timing is your ally. So what happens next? They'll try to rewrite the narrative. Say you changed, that you're bitter, or jealous, or obsessed. Let them talk. Let them scramble. Because the people who used to believe them, they've already seen the cracks. The illusion is broken. The charm has faded. The mask is off. And the only thing left is the mess they made. And you'll walk through it untouched, elevated, unbothered, celebrated. Because here's the final truth they never saw coming. You can only hide darkness for so long before it starts casting shadows, even in the brightest rooms. And now the spotlight's on, and they're standing alone. No applause, no script, just the truth echoing off the walls. This was never about revenge, this was about revelation, and the reveal is here. They'll be remembered not for the lies they told, but for the lies that exposed them. They buried themselves. And now everyone's watching the ground crack open beneath them. Public humiliation is not punishment. It's the price of playing dirty with the light. And the chosen don't break, they watch. So stand tall, stand silent, let them sink into what they created. This is their undoing. This is your moment. And the whole world is about to witness both, side by side. Number 3, when the curtain falls, so does the crown. They wore power like a costume, but now the stage is burning, and the mask won't save them. You see, real humiliation doesn't whisper, it screams. And when those who tried to manipulate you fall, it won't be in the dark. It'll be under the harshest light possible, in front of every set of eyes they used to perform for. This isn't just failure. This is a public stripping of false power, the kind of collapse you can't rebrand or reframe. The kind of fall that makes even their biggest supporters turn and walk away in silence. They didn't just hurt you, they built entire identities around controlling you, silencing you, discrediting you. Their influence was a mask and they wore it well. Clean words, sharp suits, smiles that could fool a crowd. But behind it, rotten core, jealousy, manipulation, control. And while they basked in the applause, you were behind the curtain, carrying the weight of their lies, holding back your truth, second-guessing your worth. But here's what the chosen ones must understand. No performance lasts forever. They thought the stage was theirs, that they could speak over you and still sound wise, that they could point fingers and still look clean. But what they didn't realize is that every false narrative they crafted was a countdown, a time bomb built from pride, ego, and dishonesty. And now it's detonating, not in private, not behind locked doors, right where they crave control the most, in front of the people they tried to impress. Reputation was their weapon. Image was their idol. They lived for being admired, feared, followed. But now, the same public that once clapped for them is watching the truth bleed through their perfectly polished persona. The lies are unraveling. Their charisma can't save them. Their status can't protect them. And their old tricks, useless. Because when truth steps in, when timing decides enough is enough, no spin, no story, no PR move can cover the crash. This isn't just exposure, it's correction. It's the system making a point. No lie can outrun the truth forever. And for you, the one they tried to break, this isn't just justice, it's confirmation. You were never crazy, never too sensitive, never the problem. You saw what others refused to see. You felt what they covered with charm. And now, one by one, the people around them are waking up. Think of it like this. They built a house on fake bricks, polished it, took photos in front of it, held meetings inside. But when the storm came, the real storm, the whole thing fell. Not because someone tore it down, but because it was never solid in the first place. That's the brutal poetry of false power. It always breaks under the pressure of truth. And don't think they're not feeling it. Every sideways glance, every phone that stops ringing, every person who once nodded in agreement now looking confused, even disgusted. This is what they feared most. Not the fall itself, but the audience. The collapse is loud and the room is full. They don't get to hide behind influence anymore. Not when the lies are bleeding out. Not when their actions are on display. Not when people start connecting the dots, whispering the very truth they fought to silence. They mocked your silence. They mistook your stillness for weakness. But what they didn't see was that you were watching. You were learning. You were aligning. And now as they crumble, you won't even need to say, "I told you so," because the truth is saying it for you, louder than you ever could. And if you're still doubting your own power, stop. Because only a threat gets this much energy thrown at them. They tried so hard to paint you as the villain because your very existence exposed their performance. The moment you walked in the room, the lights got a little too bright, and now the spotlight's burning them alive. So hold your head high, not out of pride, but out of peace. You don't need to scream for justice. Justice is already speaking, loud, clear, public. Every move they made in private is echoing now, and there's no mute button. Their empire built on sand, their power, just posture, their downfall, televised. The truth always shows up to collect, and it never knocks first. Let this be your reminder. You never needed revenge. You only needed patience. Because when the curtain falls, it doesn't just reveal the truth, it destroys the lie. And in that silence, while they sit in the ruins of what they tried to use against you, you rise, not to gloat, but to breathe freely, to walk into your next chapter untouched, unbothered, and undeniable. This is the public fall of false power. This is what happens when ego writes checks that truth comes to cash. And this is only the beginning. Number 4, they mistook your silence for a surrender, but it was a snare wrapped in stillness. The calm before the storm isn't peace, it's precision. And by the time they feel the thunder, it's already too late. Let's set the record straight right now. Your stillness wasn't weakness. It wasn't fear. It wasn't surrender. It was strategy. The kind that shakes foundations because it speaks without shouting. The kind that drives manipulators mad because they can't control what they can't predict. They kept pushing, kept testing your limits, kept playing games behind your back while smiling to your face. And you just watched. Not because you didn't notice, but because you were choosing not to react. That's the part they never understood. You were never blind, you were just focused. See, when you're chosen, there's a different kind of strength in silence. The type that doesn't chase chaos, the type that doesn't argue with fools, the type that lets liars dig their own graves, quietly, methodically, fatally. Your stillness was a mirror, and it showed them their true selves. They kept talking. You didn't. They kept acting out. You stayed grounded. They thought your lack of reaction meant you were defeated, when in reality, you were letting them build the case against themselves. And now, That case is airtight. What they didn't see coming was that your silence wasn't empty. It was stacking evidence. Every lie they told, every move they made in arrogance, every time they tried to bait you into a reaction, all of it became proof. Proof of who they really are. Proof of how they operate. Proof of the truth they thought they could bury. And the most brutal part? You never had to lift a finger. You just had to wait. And the system took care of the rest. Because when you're truly chosen, you don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to fight dirty to win. You don't have to match energy with snakes slithering in the grass. You just have to stand still and let the wind expose them. The arrogant always assume the quiet ones are the weakest. But what they forget is that real power doesn't flinch. It waits, it watches, it plans. They were writing their own downfall with every smug comment, every fake gesture, every bold move they made thinking no one saw. But you saw, and the universe saw. And now it's all unraveling. Not because you fought them, but because they fought themselves. Your stillness was the trap, your peace was the setup, and now the consequences are falling into place. Loud, brutal, public. They're scrambling now, trying to flip the story, trying to paint you as unstable, jealous, bitter. But no one's buying it, because your silence, that steady, grounded, immovable silence, said more than their screaming ever could. And while they were busy putting on a performance, you were preparing for the moment the curtain would drop. And now it's dropped, and they're center stage, naked, exposed, powerless. The stillness they mocked is now the storm swallowing them whole. And they don't get to cry foul now. They had their chance. They had their warnings. They had every opportunity to choose better. But arrogance is loud. Arrogance doesn't listen. Arrogance walks into traps believing it's leading the way. And you, chosen one, stop apologizing for your silence. Stop wondering if you should have yelled louder, clapped back, explained yourself. You did exactly what power does. You waited. And now your enemies are facing the consequences of their own noise. Their lies are echoing louder than ever. Their actions are circling back with receipts. Their fake strength is collapsing under the weight of undeniable truth. You let the system move. You let the timing align. You trusted that stillness wasn't inactivity. It was intelligence. They thought you were sleeping, but you were setting the stage. They thought you were done, but you were loading the truth in silence. They thought you were out, but you were just waiting for them to walk directly into the fire they lit. Now everyone sees it. The image they worked so hard to protect is crumbling in public view. The story they spun is unraveling in their own hands. And the truth? It's marching through the doors they swore you'd never open. So let them fall. Let them choke on the silence they once used against you. Let the world watch the very thing they built destroy them from the inside out. You never had to roar. Stillness was the trap. And now it's sprung. Let them feel what it's like to be undone by their own hand, while you rise untouched. Number 5. They built a microphone with lies. Now the truth is screaming through it. They used your name like dirt under their shoes. Now every step they take echoes your truth. Let's not play soft here. They didn't just lie about you. They tried to rewrite your entire identity. They didn't distort the truth out of ignorance. They deliberately built a fiction and pushed it like gospel. Painted you as the villain, sold your silence as guilt, made your kindness look like manipulation. Why? Because your presence challenged their control. Because your light made their shadows impossible to ignore. They didn't just lie, they crafted a whole performance. Carefully worded stories, half-truths dipped in charm, whisper campaigns, backroom gossip, gaslighting designed to make you question yourself and make others question your worth. But here's what people like that never understand. Lies are loud, but they're also fragile. A lie must constantly be fed, defended, twisted to keep up with itself. It's exhausting, and it always collapses under pressure. Because the truth doesn't need to run. It doesn't need backup dancers. It doesn't change with the crowd. It stands, solid, still, unbothered. And now, chosen one, that time has come. The mask is slipping, The narrative is falling apart, and they're the ones unraveling. Not because you expose them, but because the truth they buried has clawed its way to the surface on its own. You didn't have to scream. You didn't have to campaign for credibility, because the system never needed your help to make things right. The lies they built, they've become a megaphone. But instead of amplifying their version, it's echoing yours. The same mouths that used to slander you are now trembling. The same rooms that once welcomed their lies are now filled with doubt, silence, side eyes. Their story doesn't hold weight anymore. The holes are too obvious. The cracks are too wide. The people they once manipulated are looking around, putting the pieces together, and the picture doesn't look anything like the one they were sold. That's the power of alignment. That's the curse of falsehood. The higher the tower of lies, the harder the crash when truth finally speaks. And let's talk about that truth for a moment. It didn't come out because you forced it. It came out because energy reveals, because light exposes, because time, when paired with silence, is the sharpest scalpel in the hands of justice. They thought they'd win because they shouted louder, because they had the crowd, because they moved first. But the truth doesn't care about being first. It only cares about being final. And now everything they built off of lies is turning against them. The spotlight they craved is showing the mess they made. The platform they stood on is cracking beneath their feet. Their version of your story is no longer safe. It's a liability. And they feel it. The stares, the second guessing, the way conversations pause when they walk into the room. This is exposure, not by force, but by natural consequence. You want to know what real power looks like? It looks like this. They tried to silence you. Now their own lies are screaming the truth louder than you ever could. And while they scramble to repair the image, backtrack, and rewrite again, you, the chosen one, get to rise with your name intact. Because truth doesn't rot. It doesn't expire. It doesn't fade. It just waits. And when it's time, it roars through every corridor they used to walk freely. Let this be your closure. You don't have to chase down every rumor. You don't have to justify yourself to every doubter. Because now the story's telling itself, and they're choking on the ending they wrote. Remember this always. You were never the villain. You were just the threat to their fiction. And fiction doesn't survive truth. Not for long. So walk tall, walk free, and let the echo of truth trail behind you. Because the lies they used to bury you, they've become the stage your truth is now standing on. Loud, unshakable, undeniable. Number 6, this isn't payback. It's the crowning of the unshakable. They tried to break you in front of an audience. Now life will bless you in full view, and you won't have to say a word. Let's get something straight. What's coming your way isn't some sloppy apology from the universe. It's not petty payback or cheap compensation. This is deeper than vengeance. This is vindication, the real kind, the soul-deep kind, the kind that rewrites your atmosphere without needing permission from a single soul who doubted you. This isn't just about settling the score, it's about setting the stage for your rise. See, the people who tried to bury you didn't know what kind of seed they were dealing with. They thought silence was death. They thought your stillness meant you were stuck. But what they didn't see was the growth happening underneath. The roots, the strength, the unstoppable transformation that was building behind the curtain of your struggle. Now it's your time, not for drama, not for attention, but for alignment. This celebration won't be noisy, but it will be noticed. It won't be loud, but it'll be louder than any lie spoken against you. Because true reward doesn't scream for attention, it radiates. And yours? It will be undeniable. You'll walk into spaces that once rejected you, and doors will swing open without effort. You'll be invited into rooms that your enemies swore you'd never step foot in. And not just invited, welcomed, respected, admired. Because when you're chosen, your reward doesn't match what you lost. It surpasses it, multiplies it, heals you in places even you forgot were broken. This isn't about revenge. That's too small for what's happening. This is about restoration. Personal, precise, powerful. The kind of joy that doesn't ask for applause, because it is the applause. The kind of peace that doesn't need to be posted, because it lives in your bones now. And let's not forget, this reward wasn't rushed. It took time, it took pressure, it took silence and restraint and patience. While your enemies were out there performing, pretending and pushing, you were sitting in the pain, transforming in the dark, becoming something they'll never be, whole. And now that wholeness is about to take form in every part of your life, in your relationships, in your work, in your confidence, in your peace, in your glow. They won't be able to ignore it, not because you'll be shouting, but because real elevation doesn't need a mic. It shows. You'll be walking in blessings that look suspiciously like justice, opportunities that feel like they were crafted just for you, because they were. Moments that feel like whispers from something greater, saying, "See, I never forgot you." Because that's what this is, a reminder that everything you endured wasn't wasted, that your tears weren't ignored, that your quiet dignity was never overlooked, that your patience wasn't for nothing. You are not just being repaid, you are being exalted, not to stunt on your enemies, but to restore the version of you that existed before the lies, before the heartbreak, before they tried to destroy you. And let this settle deep in your spirit. They'll watch, yes. They'll hear about it, yes. They'll see the glow they tried to dim, now blazing in silence. But this isn't about them. This isn't about proving anything. This is about you, chosen one, getting back what they swore you'd never recover. It's about receiving what no apology could ever fix. It's about walking into fullness while they remain stuck in the empty shell of their performance. So no, this isn't revenge. This is rebirth. A resurrection of the real you. The you they tried to erase. The you that kept showing up anyway. The you who chose grace when you could have chosen war. And that celebration, it won't just bless your name, it'll shut down the noise. Not with anger, not with clapping back, but with undeniable evidence that the real ones always rise in the end. So get ready, not for revenge, but for reward. Not for noise, but for clarity. Not for followers, but for favor. This isn't a payout. This is a crowning. And when it happens, it won't just make you smile. It'll make everything make sense. Number 7, your rise is the warning they never saw coming. They wrote you off like a lost page. Now your story is the book they're forced to study. What they didn't understand, what they never wanted to understand, is that your struggle wasn't just for survival. It was for the message, for the mark, for the standard that would shake every fake alliance, every coward who stayed silent, and every enemy who thought they'd buried you in silence. You weren't just enduring pain, you were building proof. Every silent night, every fake smile you swallowed, every time you chose patience over pettiness, it all added weight to the moment that's coming now. The moment when your breakthrough isn't just a reward, it's a reckoning. For them, for the crowd, for every person who played dumb while watching you suffer. Now your story is speaking, loudly, clearly, and whether they love you, hate you, or pretended not to notice you, they're all going to hear it. You don't rise like everyone else. When the chosen rise, it's not quiet, it's not forgettable. It's a shift, a marker in time. The kind people point to later and say, that's when everything changed. They thought they could keep your truth hidden behind their versions. But now your life is turning into a living testimony, not just to your strength, but to the precision of justice that doesn't miss. The kind of justice that doesn't scream or seek revenge. It just shows up when it's ready and leaves no room for denial. You didn't have to defend yourself. Your endurance did that. You didn't have to argue. Your results are doing that. You didn't have to clap back. Your glow is loud enough. And now every single person who watched you suffer and said nothing, they're watching again. But it hits different this time, because your rise convicts them. It reminds them of the side they chose. Silence, indifference, comfort, cowardice. And while they looked the other way to protect their peace, you were out here bleeding, building, surviving. Now, you're thriving, and the guilt in their eyes says everything. Let it. Let your rise make them uncomfortable. Let your truth disrupt their narratives. Let your name ring in rooms they swore would never say it with respect. Because you weren't built just to recover. You were built to teach. And your story is the kind that humbles pride and breaks fake confidence like glass. The same ones who mocked your silence will now mimic your strength. The same ones who doubted your vision will now reference your clarity. The same ones who took comfort in your pain will now squirm in your peace. And what's wild is, you won't even need to say, "I told you so." Your life will say it for you. Your freedom, your success, your peace, your glow. Your presence will preach without a pulpit. You didn't go through hell just to bounce back. You went through it so your return would send a message. And let's be real, the message is loud. This is what happens when you come for the chosen. This is what grace looks like when it's done waiting. So don't shrink. Don't downplay what's happening. Don't explain it away or act like it's not that big of a deal. It is, because they made your pain public. So your victory needs to be public too. And it will be. But not for ego, not for revenge, for alignment, for balance, for truth. For every person who ever thought they could get away with destroying someone who never did anything but shine. You're not just rising, you're resetting the bar. You're the standard now, the line in the sand, the example they'll remember when they're tempted to move in the dark again. Because your story, it's not just inspiration, it's a warning. You can't silence what's chosen. You can't bury what's built from purpose. And you damn sure can't stop what was born to rise. So walk like a lesson, speak like a shift, shine like the truth that burned down every lie told about you. Because this story, your story, it isn't just a comeback. It's a class in what happens when divine justice decides it's time. And now, class is in session. Number 8, their smiles hid knives. Now the handles are showing. They didn't hate you. They hated how you stayed powerful in silence, how you shined without their permission, how you were everything they pretended to be. Let's tear the mask all the way off. This was never just about what they did. It was always about why they did it. And now the why is burning under the spotlight. Because when the truth steps in, it doesn't just expose actions, it drills straight into the hidden motives behind them. And what's being revealed now is darker than you ever imagined. This wasn't just casual cruelty. This was envy, dressed up as concern. This was jealousy, disguised as advice. This was insecurity, camouflaged as leadership, friendship, even love. They were never attacking your actions. They were attacking your existence, your peace, your resilience, the way you moved without flinching, the way you carried your light even through the storm. That kind of energy, it irritates the unhealed. It offends the insecure. It exposes the fake. And that's exactly why they came for you. But now the curtain is lifted, and they can't hide behind charisma, titles, or fake kindness anymore. People are finally seeing the truth, not just about what they did, but what drove them to do it. Their bitterness, their desperation to dim your light, their need to tear you down just to feel tall. It's all bleeding through. No matter how hard they try to spin the story, it's obvious now. The envy is loud. The insecurity is screaming. The mask is melting, and it's ugly underneath. And the best part? You didn't have to expose them. They exposed themselves. You stayed still. You stayed silent. You didn't retaliate. And in doing so, you gave them space, not to change, but to reveal. Because real character always leaks out over time. And now the people who once questioned you are questioning them. Why were they always throwing shade at someone who wasn't even speaking? Why were they obsessed with controlling the narrative about a person who never clapped back? Why were they so bothered by your peace? The answer is now clear. It was never about you. It was about the threat you represented to their illusion. You were light in their shadow, authenticity in their performance, stability in their chaos. And that shook them to the core. So they tried to break you, not because you were weak, but because you reminded them how fake their strength really was. They tried to ruin your name, not because you were wrong, but because you were right without needing to say it. They tried to turn others against you, not because you were dangerous, but because you were undeniable. But now, it's all out in the open. Their jealousy is no longer private. Their true motives are showing through the cracks in their stories. They can't fake calm, not when the room's energy shifts the moment you walk in. They can't keep pretending, not when eyes that once trusted them now look suspicious, distant, unsure. They've been found out, and they did it to themselves. Because when you mess with what's chosen, when you attack what was never in competition with you, when you waste your energy trying to destroy someone just for existing in their power, it always flips. Always. And now, it's flipped. The very people they used to gossip with are stepping back. The ones they tried to recruit into their drama are watching from a distance now. The crowd is thinning, the spotlight is harsh, and all that's left is the truth they couldn't bury. Let this sink deep. Your strength didn't just survive their attacks, it exposed them. You didn't just outlast the chaos, you became the clarity. And now everyone sees it. They were never real. They were never strong. They were just loud and envious. So don't waste another breath explaining yourself. Don't bother defending your peace, because the motive is louder than the move now, and the motive is ugly. This is what happens when fake people try to war with real energy. They get outed, not just by karma, not just by consequence, but by their own hands. And while they unravel, you ascend. Because your glow was never about revenge. It was never about being better. It was about being authentic. And that authenticity is what crushed their facade. So stand tall. Let them drown in the storm they created. Let their own envy finish what they started. They didn't hate the you they talked about. They hated the you they could never become. And now the whole world knows it. Number 9, they threw dirt on you, but it became the soil you grew from. They tried to bury you to erase your name. Now they'll watch the world celebrate it. Let's be brutally clear. The pain you went through wasn't random. It wasn't wasted. It wasn't for nothing. Every betrayal, every insult, every tear that hit your pillow in silence was recorded by something greater than this world. And now the payout is here. But it's not just restoration, it's honor. Public, undeniable, loud. The same people who laughed at your collapse will now sit stunned at your rise. You didn't just survive what they put you through. You transformed. You didn't just bounce back. You leveled up. Smarter, stronger, sharper, and completely unfazed. They thought they were writing your ending, but they were just setting the scene for your unfolding. What they meant for shame is becoming the exact thing that elevates your name. You're not just being healed, you're being highlighted, and not in secret. This is happening in full view of the very ones who tried to crush you. And they'll have to watch, with their mouths shut, as your pain turns into the platform you now stand on. This is the justice they didn't see coming. Not revenge, not petty wins, but transcendence. You don't just walk back into the rooms they kicked you out of. You own the building now. You don't just recover the things they stole. You receive more than what was taken. You don't just shine again, you shine brighter. Because this light was forged in fire. That fire they tried to burn you with, it refined you. That storm they sent to drown you, it taught you how to swim deeper. Those scars you carry, they're now symbols of proof. Proof that you can't kill what's chosen. You can't dim what was born to lead. You can't break someone who learned how to build themselves back up without a blueprint. And now the public sees it. They see the glow they can't explain. They feel the energy that can't be faked. They respect the strength that didn't come from pride, but from surviving hell with your spirit intact. Your story isn't just inspiring, it's disruptive. It shakes people. It challenges fake strength. It calls out the lies, and most of all, it corrects every false narrative that was ever spoken over your life. Now your name carries a weight they never imagined. Your voice holds an authority they can't mute. And your presence commands a respect that no title, no money, no influence could ever buy. Because it was earned in the dark, earned through pain, earned when nobody clapped for you, when nobody defended you, when the only person you could count on was you. So let them sit, let them stare, let them feel every ounce of discomfort as they witness your elevation. Because this isn't just a comeback, it's a coronation. And the crown doesn't come from the applause, it comes from the process. What they meant to destroy you with, life is now using to define you. Your pain became your platform. Your struggle became your strength. Your wounds became your wisdom, and your silence became your spotlight. Now you're not just rising, you're representing. You're walking proof that truth outlasts lies, that resilience outshines performance, that favor outruns fake. You are the blueprint now, the walking lesson, the echo that keeps ringing in the ears of your enemies, reminding them, you tried to break me and built me instead. So wear your scars like medals. Walk in rooms like you belong, because you do. Speak your truth with no hesitation, because it's needed. And carry your story like a torch, because it's lighting the path for someone else right now. This is what happens when chosen ones rise. Not just restored, not just recovered, exalted, honored, remembered. They'll never forget what they did to you, but they'll never be able to forget what you did with it. And that's how your pain becomes the loudest honor of all. And now, as the dust settles and truth stands tall, understand this. Your journey wasn't just survival, it was strategy. Every setback was a setup, every loss, a lesson. And now the rise is unstoppable, undeniable, and unforgettable. You are the evidence that nothing formed against the chosen ever truly wins. If this message hit your spirit, like this video, subscribe for more truth, and drop the number 77 in the comments if you're walking boldly into your season of elevation. Share this with someone who needs the reminder. When the light rises, darkness has no choice but to fall.